Hi all, welcome to my channel again. So today's session is about Docker network and volumes. So in the previous session, I have discussed about the Docker architecture. In that, we haven't discussed about the network and volume. So in this session, we are going to discuss about the Docker volume and Docker network. So if you want to go through this blog, you can check out this link from the description box. Let's start. So so in the previous video, which I have explained you about the Docker introduction and the architecture of the Docker, there in the host session, in the host one, in the Docker host, we have discussed about the Docker daemon, Docker containers, and images. Along with that, we have the Docker network and volumes also. So, what is a Docker volume? So, Docker allows mounting the file systems as a volume to the containers. So, in order to access the files, so for example, a OS is running. So, to run that OS, we need some file system. So, the file system will be mounted and available for the operating system. So, same like that for containers also, we need a file system which was mounted and it's called as a volume. So in this volume we can preserve all the data of the container, and the data is persisted even if the container is deleted. Persisted means continue to exist even if the container is deleted. Once you store the data into the volume and attach that to a container, then even if the container gets deleted, the volume will stay like that. So using the volume you can access the files anytime you want. So the path for that volumes is default path is this one. So var slash lib slash docker slash volumes. So this is on Linux. So docker volume is nothing but mounting the file systems as a volume to the containers. Okay. So next, so here in this diagram, you will get a better view of what is a Docker and what is a volume, why it is used, and the containers. So here, if you see, these are the Docker containers, three containers where. So this is the single volume. So the volume can be shared along the containers. I mean, the volume can be shared among the containers, multiple containers or the single containers also. So here file sharing is happening. So this container is accessing the files through this volume. This is the diagram which shows us that a volume the file stored in a volume can be accessed among multiple containers. So a volume can be mounted to multiple containers, same as I explained above. So and it lies even if the containers are down. Even if these containers are down, I mean they are not working properly, then also this volume will remain the same. So it can be removed only manually by the user. So this volume, if the container goes down, then volume will not go down along with it. We just need to remove this manually or by any user. Then only the container will get removed. Creating a Docker volume. So I will be explaining some basic commands about the volume. So here if you see, creating a Docker volume. So how to create a volume is Docker volume create and the volume name. So like this we are creating a volume, then listing a Docker volume. For that command we use a Docker volume list. This will fetch all the volumes which were present on our system. So and then mounting a volume. So for mounting volume, we need some basic details like the volume name and the path in container, means for which one we are like mounting, and the Docker image. So everything we need to have. For that, we use the docker run command, and we mount the source. Source will be the volume name, and the destination will be the path in the container, so that everything will get mounted. And then after that, removing a volume. So removing volume is simply docker volume rm and the volume name. So this will just simply remove the command. So please remember that when docker containers goes down, volume remains the constant. Only we can remove a volume is through docker volume rm command. Next, deleting all volumes at once. So whatever the volumes which are not needed, like if we have the multiple volumes present in our system which are not needed, then we can just simply run docker volume prune. What it will do, it will remove all the volumes at once, instead of removing it one by one. We can just simply use the prune command, so which will remove all at once. Next is the docker network. So for Docker network, with the Docker Compose, we can create multiple containers. In that process, a space is created by Docker where those containers can communicate with each other and the host system. That space is called Docker network. So you might have heard about the Docker network. What happened? The containers got created, but how they connect? For connection, they need to have some space, some network in order to communicate among them. So if there are 10 containers which got created and one is not getting communicated to the other, then what is the use? The containers should be communicated with each other. So for that purpose, we use the Docker network, and also to the host system. Everything needs to be communicated. So here in this diagram, if you see, there are two containers, web containers, and this is the database container and the Redis container. These are again web containers, but if you see here, the IPs are different. So if you see closely, then the IPs are different, and how they communicate with each other. So for this communication to happen, for example, using the web container, you need some data from the database. How they will communicate? For that purpose only, overlay network. So this network got created, Docker network inside it, so that it can communicate with each other and also to the host system. So for that purpose, Docker network is used. So command will be Docker network command. So this command can be connected, create, disconnect, inspect, ls, prune, and rm. So all of this can be used in place of this command. So yeah, this is about the Docker network and the Docker volume. Hope you might have got a better idea of what are all these. Please watch my previous video for the entire architecture, and about the Docker network and volume. I have explained it here. So thanks for watching until the end. If you want to check out this blog, you can check this link in the description box. That's all for today. Thank you.